Hello, my name is Ann, and I'm with Macomb St.Clair Michigan Works. Today I'm going to be walking you through our interviewing and communication workshop. This is the first time that we've ever done this online, so I hope that you enjoy, and I hope that this is truly helpful to you. The name of our seminar is, in fact, Interviewing and Communication, Marketing Yourself to Get and Keep the Job. A lot of times the first thing people say is, what does it mean to market yourself? Marketing yourself is exactly that. You are going to talk about you, and you are going to show your potential employer that you are the best candidate for the job. There's many other people who will be interviewing alongside of you. But what this is about, and this seminar is supposed to help with, is for us to be able to give you tools and to basically make it so that you are the one they want, okay? So marketing yourself. The way that this is going to start is, in fact, with your resume. The resume is what gets you in the door. The resume is the piece of paper that says what you've done, how long you've done it for, and the tasks and the responsibilities that you've had in your previous jobs. It shows your area of expertise. The interview is the ability and is the opportunity for you to be able to explain what that means, and you're going to do that by using your soft skills. Soft skills are people skills. The best way for people to explain that is to say that you know when someone doesn't have them. Think of bad customer service. Think of a very unpleasant experience you've had while going to an appointment, whether it be medical or it be business related. The inability to express ourselves and to communicate effectively is a lack of soft skills. So I'm going to go over exactly what hard and soft skills are, and I'm going to go ahead and spend some time just explaining that so we can really kind of get down to what that means. So hard skills versus soft skills. Hard skills are an occupational requirement. These are the specific technical and professional areas of expertise that you need to complete the job. This is what we call the task of the job, or that thing that you do. Without the ability to do this, you wouldn't be qualified for the job you are applying and interviewing for. So this is your hard skill. An example of this would be operating machinery, accounting, appointment scheduling, data entry, graphic design, and welding, so the actual job that you do, or employment occupation. A soft skill is something completely different. A soft skill is a personal attribute, and this is describing your character, and it's allowing you to be more professionally and personally successful. So these are the things that make you you. This is why you are able to do the job that you do, and you're able to be effective at it. So these are essential, soft skills are essential to keeping a job. Without soft skills, you will not last. You are not going to have a long-term residency with any potential employer because you're not going to be able to fully express yourself, and you're not going to be able to do the tasks efficiently. Okay, so an example of some of these soft skills are going to be communication, time management, organizational skills, conflict resolution, problem solving, attitude, teamwork, adaptability, diversity awareness, work ethic, leadership, basic computer skills. Now, a side note with basic computer skills, most people assume that computer skills are a hard skill. Hard skill? No, not everybody needs to use a computer to do their job. Now, nowadays, that's probably far less true, but there are some areas where a computer is simply not needed. So being able to have basic computer skills, Microsoft Word, Excel, the ability to use your Outlook to reach out in Teams to your coworkers and other people in your business is in fact a soft skill, and it's one that really in some basic function we should have in today's market. So that being said, 75% of long-term job success is depending on these people skills, these soft skills, while only 25% are on technical knowledge. That's a huge statement. And the reason it's only 25% of your technical knowledge, regardless of whether you have been doing the jobs in your area of expertise or industry for 5 years, 2 years, 20 years, is that every employer has their own way of doing things. So regardless of where you go, you're going to be relearning. You're going to still have the basic knowledge and technical knowledge to do that job, but you're going to have to relearn a whole system. This, in fact, is where these soft skills are going to come in. Organizational skills and time management. If you can't organize your time, you're not going to get through new policy. You're not going to be able to interpret procedure. You're going to have a difficult time. So really, that's where that 25% is coming in, because you're going to learn it over anyways. And most employers are going to give you their own book and say, here you go, learn how we do it. Okay? So that's a really bold and it's a really huge statement. Okay? One more thing with the hard skills versus soft skills, since we have this up and we're able to look at it. The resume you have is a written representation of the work that you've done. Okay? Your interview is, in fact, the real-time opportunity to show the employer who you are and how your methods and your personality are going to make you the best candidate. It's your competitive edge. Okay, skills, again, will be taught. However, you only have one opportunity to show who you as an individual are. Now, soft skills can be a tricky subject. It can be a tricky subject because we are, in fact, talking about ourselves. This isn't something we are usually comfortable with, and it's kind of something we are discouraged to do. However, an interview is your only opportunity to do this. Bragging, being self-absorbed, these are all things that we've been taught are not acceptable, and nor are they kind. An interview is the only opportunity you're going to get to sell yourself. You are marketing yourself. And you can't bring your mom, you can't bring your best friend, you can't bring a note saying that you're awesome. You have to show that yourself, okay? And the key to doing that and doing it comfortably and without coming off and to be off-putting is, in fact, humility, okay? And humility is the knowledge that we're not perfect. We have a lot to learn, and that we're willing to do so. Humility comes down to being the ability to really realistically assess ourselves and to be open to suggestions without being defensive. So humility is that middle ground, if you will. It's a neutral space of being self-aware. Not being self-centered, which is wanting everyone to see us all the time, but also not being self-conscious, which is where we don't want anyone to see us ever, okay? We're looking for self-awareness and neutral space. The way to do that is to be accurate and is to be honest. I cannot overstate how important it is to be authentic and how important it is to be comfortable with what you're saying and how you're saying it. If something doesn't sound comfortable to you coming out of your mouth, then it's going to sound even more uncomfortable to an employer. You know yourself. An employer doesn't know anything about you except for what you've put on a resume and what you're telling them. So if something feels or sounds inauthentic to you, I would recommend that you scrap it and honestly take time to look at your resume and make sure that there's a really good flow between what is on there and what it is that you're going to say to an employer to back up what's on that resume. Employers have made very clear what it is that they're looking for in potential candidates. And what it is that they're looking for evidence of leadership skills on your resume. They're looking for indications that you can work in a team and that you have the ability to problem solve. So written communication skills, problem solving skills, verbal communication skills, and a strong work ethic are just as important as the ability to do a job. Now the interview, again, is the place where you're going to be able to present that. It's your only opportunity, so it's extremely important. These are active traits. These are all things that require example. These are things that are going to require you to be able to give solid, concrete, and tangible proof of the work that you've done. The best way for that is numbers and situations, specifics. An interviewer is not going to get any information out of you that you don't give. So you want to be descriptive, you want to be accurate, you want to make sure that you are sharing in not only an event, but you want to share what it is that was the result of the event, because that's showing your ability to problem solve. That's showing what you did to be able to solve a situation. That being said, there are 4 themes specifically that interviewers are looking for from you during an interview process. So what are these 4 themes that interviewers are looking for from you while they're interviewing you? The interview process is designed to determine not only your personality, but your fit within the company structure. You're coming to them. So employers need to make sure that whoever it is that they hire is going to maintain the levels of productivity that they have. It's going to maintain the equilibrium and the work culture that is already established. So this is important. So the way that they're going to do this is there's 4 key questions they're looking to you to answer for them. The first is, how do I know that you'll fit in at my company? Again, established and already functioning staff. You can be the most qualified individual for a job. However, you may not be chosen for that job. Not because you aren't qualified, not because you're unable to do the job, and not because you wouldn't be good at it. But there's existing work culture. And if we aren't going to be able to fit in with that, and there isn't going to be a flow, then that isn't anything that's inside of your control. Okay? So work culture, important. 2, can I trust and depend on you to do your job well? This is that problem solving. This is that teamwork. This is the ability to be self-starting and motivated. Employers need to know that if you are in fact chosen to work in their company, that they can trust you without having to stand over you all day. They trust that you will be able to figure things out. You'll ask for help when you cannot. You'll problem solve and actively. You will take the initiative to find out what it takes to do your job and to do it well. This is extremely important. Productivity is going to depend on your ability to keep moving. So really this is, again, self-starting and being self-motivated, very important. The third theme that an interviewer is looking for from you is how can you improve processes, systems, or departments? These are different no matter where you work. They're very widely from industry to industry. However, they can vary from employer to employer in the same industry. Everyone's process is specific to themselves. So if you are unable to improve on that process or to make it more efficient or to be able to maybe bring a suggestion as to how it can be improved, employers need to know that you're able to do that, because again, this goes back to self-motivation. These are tied together. There's really no way to break up one without the other. So if you are unable to contribute or to be able to improve something, then there's going to be an issue, because that's what they're looking for. Okay? And then the fourth theme, how can you save the company time, be efficient, and save or make us money? Now, some businesses aren't profit per se. If you work in human services, social work, these are generally nonprofit industries. However, time is money, and time is what it takes to be efficient. If you work with people, your productivity, your ability to be efficient, and that saving and making of money is going to look very different from someone who is in manufacturing or somebody who is in sales. There's a tangible product, and there are numbers and things you can look at and have projections of. It looks a little different when you're in a human services industry, right? It's a little bit different in the medical industry too, because people aren't products. So human beings, working with them, efficiency and saving company time is going to look like, were you able to see X amount of patients per day? Are you able to resolve issues in a timely manner? Do you call your clients back within 24 hours, if that's the company's standard? Or do your clients not hear from you and that's an issue? This is what the company doesn't want. So again, when you're answering and you're explaining all of the information that's on your resume, make sure you're speaking to these things and you're doing it in a way that you have numbers and you have situations and you have results that you can provide. Okay, so 4 themes. Very important. In addition to the themes that the interviewers are looking for from you, this is an opportunity for you to look for something from them. A job is more than just a job. A job is a place that is a source of income for our families. A job is a place that can become a career and can be something that you're extremely proud of and something that you love. A job is a source of identity for us. And a job is a place where we spend most of our time. That being said, the 4 themes that interviewers are looking for from you, I would suggest that you yourself look for that from them. The ability to do our job and to do it long term depends on if we feel comfortable, depends on if we are happy and we are proud of the place that we work. That being said, interviews are a two-way street. So you have this opportunity, and it will be your only opportunity most likely, to do the same. Ask questions. You need to know how the company defines saving money. You need to know what that workplace culture is. You need to know how you're going to be taught or you're going to be expected to learn to do your job. These are important things. Interviewers aren't looking to see if you fit in, but this is your opportunity to make sure that you feel comfortable and it's a place you want to fit into. Asking questions is not a one-sided street in an interview. As the interviewee, this is your opportunity to interview the company, and I'd highly recommend that you do. Part of this interviewing process is not only your verbal communication, but it's also going to be your nonverbal communication. What that means is what we say versus what we're not saying, but what we're projecting. It's reported that 55% of our message is coming from body language, 37% from our tone of voice, and only 7% from the words that we use. Okay? That's an extremely small amount to convey a message. But most of the time, what we're thinking is, did I say something right? Did I use the right words? The first part to that is that if this is something that you feel, this is authentic to you and you're being honest, then yes, you're using the right words. This has to feel real to you for you to be able to sell it. However, what you say has to also match what it is your body and your facial expression is. I'm going to touch on this really quickly because part of us is so focused on what we're saying that we tend to ignore what it is that we're projecting. Okay? So things that include body language are your tone of voice, rate and volume of speech, your articulation of words, the rhythm, intonation, and the stress placed on your words, your facial expression. Remember when your mom always said, don't roll your eyes? This is kind of where that comes into play. The amount of eye contact made, gestures, touch. Some people tend to speak with their hands. Myself, I'm one of them. It comes natural. It's kind of what we do. However, some people do not. Some people are more, I guess the term could be touchy-feely or huggy. Some are not. So that plays into that. And then body language and posturing. Tone of voice, I want to touch on that. I'll start from the beginning and give them each a little bit of credence. Tone of voice, it can be one of the single most important ways that you can control your nonverbal communication. You're speaking, however, how are you saying it? There's an adage, an old adage, and it says it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Think of the time or a time that someone has said, I'm fine. Okay? Are you really fine? What we say, how we say it, two completely different things. So you're going to convey a completely different message if you are, say, for example, speaking about a time you had a conflict. Employers do ask these questions in interviews, correct? So they want to know, was there a time that you had a conflict? Was there a time that you didn't get the results you were looking for? And how did you handle that? Tone of voice would play an enormous role in the way that you convey your message in this particular situation. If you're saying that everything was fine, worked it out, talked to my supervisor, we worked it out with my coworker, and overall I was happy with the situation, and you say it in the sense of, overall I was happy with the situation, we used teamwork. Or you use the tone of, overall it was fine, use teamwork. Who's going to believe what? And sometimes we're very unaware of what we're projecting. So keeping that in mind, okay? Rate and volume of speech. Sometimes nervousness can cause us to speak a little quicker than we may normally. It may bring our volume up. It may also bring our volume down. We need to be careful with that because we need to make sure we're projecting a clear message. For articulation of words, think of pronunciation. Ask your kids to brush their teeth and say, fine. That's the articulation of words. Do you really mean it's fine or do you not? Okay? Rhythm, intonation, and stress placed on words. It's almost like if you think of it in the written sense, where you put a period or an exclamation mark or a comma can make all the difference in the message that you're conveying in your sentence. So the same thing happens when we're speaking. Facial expression. Again, the rolling of the eyes, sighing, looking generally disinterested. If you're not conveying enthusiasm, it's going to be very obvious, and it doesn't matter what you're saying at that point because you look bored. So keeping that in mind. Also understanding that nervousness, again, can play a role in that. So the more nervous we are, the more we may do things like not keep eye contact. We may twirl hair, bouncing your knee, clenching or unclenching of a fist or hands. These are all things that come into play when we're nervous. The best way that we could recommend for you is to figure out if your verbal and your nonverbal communication is matching, is to actually sit down and answer questions. Record yourself so you can hear your tone. Cell phones are everywhere and we have wonderful technology. Use it to your advantage so that you're hearing yourself. Most of the time we're shocked by what we hear of ourselves. We don't think it sounds like us. Our tone of voice is just absolutely not what we thought it was going to be. So hearing yourself is extremely important. Being video recorded can be very difficult. And with that being said, just turn on the volume, record, and walk away. So you're at least getting yourself. That's important. Have someone you trust ask you questions and have them give you feedback. Do you sound consistent? Are you conveying a message? Are you tapping your fingers? Are you looking disinterested? Feedback is the only way to make sure that you're in fact doing consistent message giving, and it's better that you do that at home and you do that before you get to an interview, because again, the interviewer isn't going to know how to take that because they don't know you personally, okay? So practice is the key. It needs to be done, and it's the only way that you in fact will get through it. Now, one more point with the verbal versus nonverbal communication, and I like to stress this, is that even with knowing what we sound like and what we may look like, this can be very difficult if we are unaware of our feelings or if we are unaware of some unresolved issues we have. Interviewing is nerve-wracking in and of itself. It can be very difficult. Even the best of interviewees will tell you that they have had times where they have felt like they completely and just absolutely lost. They may have gotten the job, but that experience itself wasn't a good one for them. The more baggage that we bring to an interview with any type of unresolved feelings is going to show. The best example I can give you is that in this workshop we did long time ago, I had a customer who had a difficult parting from his previous employer. We practiced interviewing. He looked amazing. He had the perfect opening to his interview. His resume was extremely on point. The minute he had to start speaking about his previous employer, all of that went out the window because his face would turn red, he was clenching his teeth, and you would see him open and close his fists. That sent the message loud and clear to the potential employer that in fact, conflict was an issue and that he wasn't over it. The problem is that this is what the employer is going to take away from that. So that took some time and that took some work. So again, better that we are aware of what we're bringing to the table and we're aware of what an employer can see or hear from us before we go into an interview and we don't get a second chance. So going through and being aware of your verbal and your nonverbal communication and what they look like together is a sign of professionalism. And professionalism isn't a label that you give yourself. It's something that you hope others will apply to you. And professionalism really does come into play when those difficult situations and difficult questions are asked. The reality of it is that there is no job, there's no position, there is no point in anyone's job history or career where there hasn't been a difficult or a negative situation that they've experienced. Employers ask that question for a reason. When they say, tell me about a difficult situation, or they say, tell me about a time that, again, you didn't have the results that you were looking for. This is what they're looking for. Conflict is not negative in and of itself. They're looking for the way that you're going to handle any potential conflict. Because again, going back to employer culture, consistency, and the ability to solve. You're coming into that team. So it's important to understand that difficult and negative situations are the example, and it's really the time for you to shine and show your professionalism. Not getting our way doesn't mean that something good didn't come from it. So if you're asked these difficult questions, if you're asked things about negative situations and you're comfortable, instead of looking at it as a problem, look at it as an opportunity. Look at it as a moment to really illustrate and show your ability to step outside of yourself, to be able to work with other people and to make decisions that, while they may not be comfortable, you can do them with grace and you do them with the greater good of a company in mind. So one way for us to be able to be prepared for things that are difficult or uncomfortable is, again, practice. like I said, for the verbal versus nonverbal communication, practicing that is going to show you and give you the ability to be consistent. The same thing applies when we're talking about answers. We're talking about framing our answers to show ourselves in the best light. The best way to do that is to be prepared. We don't know what everyone's going to ask us at any given time, but after interviewing once or twice, you kind of have an idea of where the employer is going. And again, remember, going back to those 4 themes that they're looking for in you, the questions are being structured in a way to find out if you in fact meet those criteria. One of the ways that you can take uncertainty and you can take nervousness out of your interviewing is to have a pitch ready. And a pitch has been called many things before. It can be called your sales pitch. It can be called the 30-second elevator speech. There's lots of names for it, but basically what creating your own pitch does is that it sets you up for the interviewer to get an idea of who you are, and it also creates a comfort zone for you that's gonna, if you establish at the beginning of the interview, you're gonna be able to carry it through. So creating your own pitch is, I always say, the answer to the dreaded "tell me about yourself" question. Tell me about yourself in an interview isn't, my name is Anne, I like my cat, and I really like Chinese food. Doesn't work like that. Create your own pitch in an interview is more difficult, and it's strictly professional. I need to point that out from the beginning. It needs to be about the professional. This is you as a career person, and this is you as the person who is representing that resume, okay? So creating your own pitch, if you establish this and you have this down, is going to make it easier for you to continue on. You've laid out some facts and you have given the interviewer a place to start with you, so they have some basic information, and you will then be able to comfortably answer questions from there, okay? So the pitch is that. I'm going to give you a couple steps to help you to develop that. Again, I would recommend practice. I can't say that enough. If this sounds odd to you, if this sounds inauthentic, if it's difficult for you to get the words out and to get through this whole pitch after you've written it down, you need to start over again. This is where we go back to the top and we revise. This is authentically 100% you, and it has to be. So keeping that in mind, you might have to do a little work, and nothing wrong with that, okay? Little lined paper, think of it as homework. We can do it alongside of our kids while they homeschool, right? Okay. First step to a pitch is introduce yourself and then explain what you do in 5 or 6 words. So, name, what field are you in? What is the job title? What is the occupation? What is it you're applying for? So you want that to be consistent. So, I'm trained in the field of, or I am an expert in. So, my name is Anne, I work in human services. I've been in this field for over 20 years, and primarily I work with welfare recipients. Okay, that's a really quick and easy way to condense that. So step 2 is going to be providing a few examples of career accomplishments. You want, again, quality, you want numbers, you want something tangible. You need an example to show exactly how and when and where you did these things. So providing a few brief examples of career accomplishments. Successfully helped my company, whatever that may be. Last year I closed X amount of business deals. I developed a new system that, so if you're in computer or IT, that's a really nice thing to throw out there. Again, you know the industry that you work in. You know how employers work and how they quantify things. So if you're in human services or medical field, you're not going to be using numbers. It's going to be a little bit different, but you may have rates of job placement, you may have rates of recovery. These things are important, and that's the same thing as X amount of business deals or any kind of number, but for the field that you're in. Okay, the third step is you're going to explain your work philosophy. Okay, I believe in professionalism, developing a quality work product, and approaching everything with an open mind. This is a snapshot. This is a snapshot of how and why you do your job the way that you do. Really, this is kind of a condensation of your soft skills. So the things that are important to you, your core values, these are the things that make you seek out an employer. These are the things that make you say, wow, I want to work for that company. They sound amazing. Or you have a friend tell you about the place that they work and it just resonates with you. This is the thing you want to give out so that you're showing that you're showing you're in tune, and that this is in fact a place you have done some research on and that you would love to work at. Step 4, you're going to be specific when you explain what you're looking for in a job search, or a potential job. In this case, we're speaking of being in the interview. I'm looking for a company that offers or that focuses on a specific area. This is where the company wants to make sure that you, again, are aligning with them, and you know you're aligning with them too. Ask questions at the end of an interview. Have the employer respond to this. You want to make sure that you're telling them that you know who they are and that you, in fact, are ready to work there. Okay? So again, this is your pitch. This is your opening. Short, condensed, sounds like a lot of information. 1 or 2, 3 words on these, and you should have exactly what it is you're looking for. Again, cell phones, technology, record yourself, write it down, record yourself, write it down and record it again, okay? Walk around the house, have somebody call you and have them say, give me your pitch, and if you can't get it out on the spot, then you need a little bit more practice, okay? So this is going to be something that takes time, but this is also something that is worth your time. This is going to make it easy for you to set yourself up for success in the interview. So once you have this pitch down, and once you've practiced, again, it's going to take time. Interviewing can be uncomfortable, and interviewing can be scary. It's really about knowing what to say and being comfortable with what it is that you're going to say to someone. Practicing is key. Look up some questions, look up some things. Think about questions that you've been asked in prior interviews and that you were uncomfortable with. The best way to do this is to have someone interview you. If you need to be, have someone print out questions for you, write the answers to them, and then work on it from there. This isn't anything that is going to completely take away our nerves. There isn't anything that can do that. Uncertainty is scary, and unfortunately, that's the name of the game, right? You don't know what you're walking into in an interview, but you can set it up so that you are giving the best presentation of yourself, and you're representing yourself to the best of the ability. I hope that this has been helpful, and I hope that you've learned some information today that will help to calm your nerves and to help you to get not only through your next interview, but to help you to get the job. Macomb St.Clair Michigan Works is on Facebook. Don't forget about us. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to us, and good luck out there.